called to order at 7:02. Can I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss, to discuss, where are we? 2.1, contract matter individual employee. 2.2, contract matter non-represented employee. 2.3, Board of Ed matter, board officers. And 2.4, Board of Education matter, superintendent evaluation.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Adjourning to executive session. Can I have a motion to call to order? We entered into executive session at 7 p.m. to discuss 2.1 contract matter individual employee. Better? 2.2 contract matter non-represented employees. 2.3 Board of Education matter board officers, and 2.4 Board of Education matter superintendent evaluation. All in favor? Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance.
All right.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any comments from the public? Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight?
So moved.
All in favor? And I'm going to break out consent. So can I have a motion to adopt consent agenda personnel and consent agenda special services? Second? All in favor? And can I have a motion to adopt consent agenda for business? All in favor? No, sorry, go ahead.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Abstain? Okay.
And can I stop you there because
Yes.
something very exciting just happened. We have somebody in the audience, Megan McCauley, who is now going to be joining the Byram Hills administrators as our elementary curriculum chairperson. Hurrah, welcome. Megan, we're so happy to have you here. And when you hear, we also told her she could go home after we met with her before, and she opted to stay and listen to you tonight. So once you hear their titles of their research, you may wonder where you are.
You're not going to believe it's high school.
No. All right.
Okay, so moving on to special report. Recognition of our special guests tonight.
Yes.
The Dr. Pavlica Authentic Science Research Seniors and the Regeneron Science Talent Search Scholars.
To say that we marvel at your accomplishments is an understatement. We've had so many experiences to see your research, to hear about your research, to learn about your mentors, to watch you as a group transcend from those early sophomore years of trying to figure out what you were passionate about to your feelings of exhilaration upon getting a mentor and doing the work that you've been doing with them. Many of you in spaces that are very unlike a high school campus, and bringing your level of expertise out there to the working world and the college research world, places where everything builds upon something else. I remember when I was doing my dissertation and I wondered, who really cares about this? I care about it, but does anybody care after that? And is this just that big fat paper that's going to be bound into a book and put on someone's bookshelf? But over the years, I've had people who've reached out to me about some of the research that I did and who are working on research using some of the research that I did. And that made me feel that I was a contributor to something pretty great. And even though you are seniors in high school and you aren't in your 50s, you are now building that foundation for someone else's research, which is pretty remarkable. So we're so proud of our students selected as one of 300 top scholars in Regeneron Science Talent Search this year. Lily Anchin, and when I call your name, if you could stand, this would be great, and just we'll hold applause till I'm finished. Lily Anchin, Ben Levy, John Manowitz, and Daniel Dosai. They were top scholars in the Regeneron Science Talent Search this year. Congratulations. Fantastic. All right, you could take your seats. I'll do this in waves. In February of 2024, Yi Chang Yang was one of the 5 national finalists awarded the opportunity to compete in the National JSHS in May. Congratulations. March 16th, our students had a very impressive finish at the Regeneron Westchester Science and Engineering Fair. We had 22 students who won awards. Zach Perro captured the top prize, advancing to the international competition. Woo. Set to compete in the Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair, which is the world's largest pre-college STEM competition hosted in LA. Wow. Oh, yeah, that's another. It's amazing. At the Westchester Rockland Junior Science and Humanities Symposium, Ayaka Aman, Jake Fenster, Yi Chang Yang were able to advance as speaker presenters. Why don't the 3 of you stand? Woo. And Calvin Kai, Abigail Cushman, and Ben Levy advanced as poster presenters to the Upstate New York JSHS, where Yi Chang Yang placed first in his room and 4th overall and competed in JSHS Nationals in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Also really noteworthy, Grace Lynn virtually presented at MIT and is published for Quantifying the Recreational Use Value of New England Natural Land. And Grace is published on the MIT site and included in the journal Environmental Challenges. Amazing. Can you tell that I am a science research stalker? I've been watching all of your accomplishments, and I'm so proud of you and everything that you've done. So on behalf of Byram Hills and the board, I want to first congratulate you on all of the work that you put into your efforts in this field. We hope that you leave here and you engage in things in your life that you are passionate about. And we hope that this experience got you on your way to doing that, ultimately. I say this pretty much every year. I love my work. And not everyone can say that. I love almost pretty much everything about my work. Okay, it's a little biased because I work with students, right? So really, what is there not to love? But I hope that you feel that way, that you go out into your world and you progress through your years and you say, I'm doing something I really enjoy that brings me great feelings of connectedness with my community, and that's something that I'm passionate about growing in and learning from at every step of the way. So I wish you all luck in your continued ventures, and I am going to turn it over to Dr. Kaltenecker, who is going to read your names to come up here individually. You will go to the podium. You're used to this already, right? Go to the podium and to
We're going to say their title.
sing your title.
Sing your title.
That would be fantastic. This is a new twist. All right, if anyone actually does sing the title, I don't know, I'll have to have some special treat for you. Yes, after you say your title, Board President Mia DiPietro and I will be standing over here. We'll shake your hand, and then we'll ask you to come around behind this table so we can take a really nice picture for your parents. Okay?
You all have that? Okay. And if they're getting positioned, let me also acknowledge their amazing teachers who work with them day in and day out who are here. So let me ask them to stand. Stephanie Greenwald, Caroline Matthew, Megan Salamone, and Rhonda Santini. Thank you. Thanks. And also the parents, thank you. I know how hard it can be at home, I'm sure. So thanks for your support. And these are amazing children. We're so proud of them. And they're young adults now, right? They're going to be walking across that stage again, a bigger stage soon. So we'll bring them up. You can come up here. And our first one is Ayaka Aman.
I studied restorative mutualisms, elucidating the impact of oyster crust virginica water column filtration and nutrient deposition on the seagrass Astera marina.
And the Regeneron Science Talent Search Scholar, Lily Anchin.
My study was investigating the immunophenotypic differences among T-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia patients of distinct subtypes, sex, and race in efforts to improve chimeric antigen receptor T-cell therapy.
And Connor Bokel.
My study was identifying the synergistic effect of vaccinia virus in P-mel T cells on a treatment for melanoma tumors, a novel utilization of excelligence impedance assays as a real-time imaging device.
And I'll mention Drew Annickstein, who's not here this evening. Kelvin Kai.
My study was titled Innovations in Anti-Doping, Validating the TASA Plus Microbiometric Capillary Blood Sampling Device in the Context of the Athlete Biological Passport Utilizing Elite Athletes at 2023 Boston Marathon.
And Jack Cantor.
I studied the functional and psychological impact of confirmation bias on advanced orthotic devices.
And Lucas Cantor.
Hello, in my study, I evaluated the localization rates of UNAV, a novel mobile application for individuals with visual impairments, to evaluate its feasibility as a method of guidance.
And Benjamin Curley.
My study was an evaluation of skill level versus playstyle diversity in generating strong, ad hoc, collaborative models in the overcooked AI environment.
Abigail Cushman.
My study looked at targeted therapies on a rare form of childhood brain cancers called atypical teratoid rhabdoid tumors, and I found that this tumor demonstrates subtype-based specific drug sensitivities.
Nicolette DeSano.
My study was investigating purchase intentions and display preferences towards new versus used clothing for Gen Z and Gen X.
Jacob Fenster.
My study was demystifying parasitic persistence, B52 phosphorylation, and the regulation of Toxoplasma gondii chronic differentiation.
Kiki Gavril.
My study evaluated the behavioral impact of rope entanglements on North Atlantic right whale mother-calf pairs.
Zachary Goldman.
For my study, I assessed how differences in breed and age can impact a dog's ability to express contra freeloading.
Adin Kirsch.
My study was using epigenetic inhibitors, A485 and romidepsin, to uncover more about epigenetic mechanisms related to axolotl regeneration.
And a science talent search scholar, Benjamin Levy.
I used machine learning to uncover hidden linguistic differences within online mental health disclosures between men and women.
Grace Lynn.
My study sought to quantify the recreation use value of U.S. natural lands.
Lauren Lombardi.
My study was an investigation of architectural factors and phone use in art museums.
And Regeneron Science Talent Search Scholar, Jonathan Manowitz.
I studied methods of repurposing harvest waste from romaine lettuce cultivation for cell-based meat production.
And another Regeneron Science Talent Search Scholar, Daniel Dosai.
In my study, we used optically tunable metasurfaces to improve detection of fluorescent molecules.
And Joseph Palaco.
My study was choking under pressure, analyzing the impact of a video intervention on high school amateur athletes in basketball.
And an ISEF presenter for the county, Zachary Perro.
My study focused on elucidating a novel pathway underlying yeast prion replication involving ATG17 and specific genes in yeast prions.
Jake Santos.
My study was investigating chaos terrain on Mars in order to find possible signs of astrobiological life.
Rachel Shapiro.
My study assessed the effect of flavanol intake on hippocampal structures and cognitive functioning.
Romy Schweitzer.
In my study, I investigated the association among social isolation, loneliness, and hearing loss in adults age 65 and older.
And Greg Schreier is not here this evening. We have the next just coming back from presenting at the National Junior Science and Humanities Symposium, Yicheng Yang.
Studies examining the benefits of using a swan-egg rear wing to improve stability and fuel efficiency in an automotive vehicle.
And Eliza Zeltner.
My study was gut microbiome and the effects of metformin on glycated hemoglobin and gastrointestinal symptoms.
And a final round of applause for this amazing group of students. And we will let parents come get a photograph. We're getting them organized, so we'll give you a moment to do so.
Okay, cheese. Who can sing The Girl from Ipanema? Your parents. Parents. Hmm? And now you can all go home and have a much-needed rest. How's that? Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
And while you guys are walking down, I'm just going to say a quick congratulations of my own. I've seen some of you guys since preschool, some of them, D, don't leave. D. Remember, yes, D. Remember when they were Girl Scouts? There's a whole bunch of Girl Scouts. They were just little itty bitty things, and look at you guys. So impressive, ready to go off to college, and it's really hard to believe that some of these topics are coming from high school students. I mean, some of them, I felt like you were speaking
Megan,
a language
what do you
I just
think?
didn't understand. Impressive, right?
Bravo.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you to parents and students for joining us tonight. This is a sweet gift for us to be able to celebrate your children. Thank you. Yes. We'll take a short 2 or 3 minute break.
Do we have any unfinished business?
We do not have any unfinished business.
Okay, moving on to budget hearing 5.
Okay, the last.
All right.
Yeah, drum
The
roll.
last budget
The
hearing.
last budget hearing 5, a review
And
of our
then we
proposed
have on May 21st, our budget vote, which will take place at H.C. Crittenden Middle School from 6:30 a.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. The PTSA is going to have curbside babysitting and dog sitting. So anyone who wants to come by to vote, we are making it that much more alluring. And we ask you to become involved and informed voters. Our budget for the 2024-25 school year is $103,464,726. That is a 3.75% budget-to-budget increase, amounting to $3,739,689 increase. The percentage change for estimated tax rates per $1,000 of assessed value, you will see for North Castle, we have an increase of 4.98%, Newcastle 1.9%, Bedford sees a decrease of 2.08%, and Mount Pleasant a decrease of 4.38%. So you may wonder why those tax values are positive for some parts of our school district and reductions in other parts of the school district, and that has to do with the assessed values of homes and the portion of the tax levy that is shared through the community based upon the assessed values of your homes. I encourage you to go to all of our riveting board meeting budget presentation. They were very good, Kelly. Budget presentations, if you want to look at specifics of those increases and decreases. And of course, you can email Kelly Seibert, our business official, or contact me directly if you have any questions about the budget. Kelly.
Yes, just a look at the sample ballot. On the left here, you'll see the proposition for the budget. On the right, on the top there, is the proposition to use the capital reserve for the Lights Learning and Action project. This is be on the back of the ballot when you come to vote. The 3 candidates up on top, and for 2 positions. So you just fill in the bubble for the candidate. If you feel like you want to write in a candidate, on the bottom there is the section where you do so. The budget newsletter, you should receive that about 7 days prior to the vote. Give you a little further information about the budget, some renderings on the capital project, timeline, and some further information for voting. And again, you should see that about 7 days before the vote. Coming up. May 21st, the budget vote, again, at HCC, 6:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Just as a review, our tax levy increased 3.28%, our budget-to-budget increase at 3.75%, and our total budget at $103,464,726. Any questions, or you want to review any of the presentations? It's on the district website. Please feel free to email me at my email there. And then look forward to a couple weeks to the budget vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly.
And under new business, we have Kevin Verdati to talk to us about our data privacy annual report.
Hi, everybody. You hear me okay?
Are you okay hanging off the back of the table like that?
Good.
Would you like to sit here
No,
instead?
I'm
Is
good.
it easier?
No, this
Okay.
is perfect. I like to practice my balance.
Can you hear
him? You can hear me? Okay. It's a pleasure to talk about data privacy and security. I know Jen said that she's a bit of a science research nerd. I'm a bit of a data and security nerd, so it's nice that I have the opportunity to talk to the board. Just to locate the conversation, there are two main laws that govern our approach to data privacy and security. Those laws are New York State Education Law 2D and the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, which is a federal law. Essentially, both of those laws require us to protect personally identifiable information, which is our student data and or our staff data, from security risks such as theft, neglect, loss, or insecure practices. We're going to take a little bit of time to go through global trends that we have in this, and then we'll go through our controls that we have in place and how we're approaching ensuring that we're not only just in compliance with this law, that we've done everything that we possibly can to shore up our perimeter and ensure that our students' information and staff information is safe. This is some recent information. This is a 2022 global attack trends on cybersecurity. The good news is that the district has been focusing on ransomware attacks for the last few years. And you'll see here on the left that ransomware is actually down 21% on this 2022 data that we have, which is the most recent that we have. On the right side of the screen, you'll see the increases that we're seeing are in intrusion attempts, cryptojacking, and IoT malware. IoT being defined, of course, as the objects in a computer network that do things on the device. IoT meaning Internet of Things. So if you happen to have someone in your house that might be a bit skeptical of Siri or Alexa, there is some credibility to that, but not because they're listening, but because that's typically an attack vector that cyber criminals use to gain access to your network. The good news here is that Byram Hills has historically and continues to have really strong controls in place, both on the architecture of our network, but also on our actual operational controls to ensure that whatever IoT devices that we have on our network are appropriately segmented and are appropriately secured away. We do have a minimum number, but they are there. So the good news is ransomware is down, and we have controls in place against some of the increasing cyber attack threats. The bad news here is that if you look at global average cyber attacks per industry, education is one of the highest emerging things. Education is essentially a high value target for cyber criminals because we are rich with personally identifiable information of students, and that's what folks are after. And so I don't mean to suggest that, the previous slide, I don't mean to suggest that we don't have a very high obligation and a very high bar to ensure that we have appropriate controls in place to protect us. Here's a sampling of some of the controls that we have, and I'll pause here for a minute just to let you absorb some of these 18 classifications of controls that we have. There are about 460 information systems that we leverage in the district, meaning 460 unique systems that have personally identifiable information in them in our district. And what we're obligated to do is to apply controls to each of those systems to ensure that they're protected. Essentially, all of these controls boil down to three main areas. There are physical controls, administrative controls, and technical controls. And I'll go through each of those different areas and explain what we're doing, what we've accomplished this year, and what we plan to do in the future. So on physical protections, we've thought long and hard about where our actual data lives as a district. And most of our servers have been consolidated to the minimum number of physical devices, and we've replaced them with cloud services where available. This is a project that has been underway in the district for some time, and we've been continuing that this year. Of the servers that we have that remain, they're hosted at our Lower Hudson Regional Information Data Center. You can imagine that we don't want to have our data housed in one place. It's like putting all your valuables in one place, and so we do also have a redundant backup system that is in Rockland County, so physically at a different location. Some of the value to this is that the district, one, the cost of this hosting is eligible for state aid, so we are leveraging some financial incentive there. And also we're saving some of the soft costs on things like HVAC controls. These servers tend to run hot, so we do have an obligation for climate controls in our spaces. And then the replacement cost of the actual hardware does accrue over time. And so by leveraging this off-site, not only is it a more secure way, but it also helps us save soft costs. So you'd think if the data is located outside of the district, it puts a bit of stress on the district to ensure that we have a constant connectivity to that data. And that's the second line here where we have ISP or Internet Service Provider redundancy. So our district has 2 redundant 10 gigabit fiber connections back to each of those data centers. And the architecture of our network is such that there's diverse paths between the 2. So in other words, if any one of those connections were severed at any point, our traffic would automatically reroute to the other redundant backup, essentially resulting in 0 downtime in our accessibility to our data. This is important for things that I know Kelly will appreciate, things like payroll and all of the other financial operations of the district. This is kind of a critical element. So we have the physical location of the data, we have the ability to access the data and the redundancy that go along with that. And then you might think, well, if there's no power in the district, there's no way for us to leverage those redundant ISP connections. And that's that third bullet, which is power redundancy. So all of our district switching, wireless, and phone equipment's configured with redundant battery backup power, condition failover power, switch stack power failover protection, and generator power backup in all of the buildings. Essentially what that means is you can physically move into any one of our network closets, and you could pull stuff out of the wall, and it would automatically fail over to that. With the generators that the district has invested in over time, there is a slight delay in the time that from the power goes out to the time the generator kicks in. And we have battery backups as well that kind of bridge that gap for us. With some of the storms that we've had lately and some of the weather events that we've had, we've tested these systems. Not only our local equipment here with our power redundancy, but also that ISP redundancy has been tested regionally, and it did work as planned. These are some of the technical solutions that we have in place, many of which leverage AI to monitor our traffic within our network and look for anomalies in that traffic. So email chat monitoring, web monitoring, Google monitoring, and endpoint protections are just a sampling of these. And I'm happy to go in depth in each of these. But the fact of the matter is, all of these technical solutions that we have in place, though they are robust, the #1 attack vector or #1 way that cyber criminals gain access to personally identifiable information is through end users, through phishing attempts, essentially. And so we've invested quite a bit of time in training our staff for phishing. Now, I know you've seen in the past some data around our phishing campaigns that we've done as a district. And in getting some feedback from some of our end users, we noticed 2 trends this year. One of those trends is that our employees are quite proud of the fact that they're able to appropriately identify phishing emails. And that is a point of pride for the district. It does, in fact, take a village to protect personally identifiable information. And what we noticed when we spoke to folks is that they're so proud to say that I did it, but I might inadvertently say to Tim, hey, I got that phishing email. And what I'm doing by doing that is I'm kind of notifying Tim to say, hey, look out for the phishing email. And it potentially makes Tim maybe not so attentive to what's going on with that. So that's one noticing that we had. The other thing that we had is, though our faculty is quite proud of their ability to identify it, we want to make sure that the faculty also understands the value of reporting those phishing attacks as well, because some of those technical solutions that I mentioned in the previous slide learn from those reporting events, and over time it helps those technical solutions become increasingly robust. So this year, in an effort to increase the rigor of our phishing campaigns, we did start a bi-monthly phishing campaign. But instead of sending the same email to all of the users, the same attempt to phish for all users, we have a repository that we built this year of many, many, many different email templates, some of which appear as though they come from Dr. Lamia, some of which appear as though they come from the business office, some of which appear they come from Ted Lasso. I guarantee you he does not want to go out to dinner with you. And nor did you win a free trip to Disney or any of that. But those are some samples. So every user in our district, including you as members of the board, get 2 phishing email trying to get you twice per month. And what we notice in the data for that is that, one, our phishing identification, or I should say, let me locate this data a little bit. This is data that's showing how users are engaging with those phishing attempt emails. This is not representative of how users are engaging with every potential phishing email that comes into the district, because we simply can't measure that. But we are using this as a proxy to approximate how users are actually engaging with everything. Our phishing rate, meaning the successful clicking, how many times a phishing email is clicked on, is under 5%. It's actually under 2% at this point, which is really quite good. We do have some work to do, and we're thinking about ways to ensure that that reporting rate also goes up as well. And so we've increased the frequency, we've increased the scope of these phishing campaigns, and now moving into the end of this year and into next year, we'll be increasing our campaign to help folks understand that there's more we can do to help ensure that the systems are learning from the behaviors of the users.
What about for students?
Yeah, that's actually on the docket for next year as well. What we didn't want to do is just put it out to students without notifying them first. So we're trying to utilize our BTCs and utilize the opportunities we have in the classroom through some of our digital citizenship and digital wellness curriculum to try to align those curriculum opportunities with the phishing campaign as well. So students can learn about it and then immediately find success in that as well.
Is there anything that, I don't know how to say this, like does anything happen if you fail the phishing, like at my company, if you fail the phishing exercise, you get automatically assigned a training that they do quarterly, and you get automatically assigned an online.
Well, we have less than 2% who are failing, right?
We have very few that are failing. When you do, it's a reminder from the training company that comes up and says, "I gotcha." Okay. And then, of course, I and the technology team also get daily reports of the users that have consistently done that, and that's an opportunity for us to do what we do so well here, which is to make a personal connection with them and say, and I've done it a few times this year, and just say, "Hey, can we talk about phishing for a second?" And just remind folks that there is the opportunity to notice and report that as well, and then we just make sure that folks are well supported in that way. So the few milestones that we've made this year. One of the most important things that we can do to secure our data is to turn on multi-factor authentication, and thank you to the board for helping us with this as well. I'm very happy to announce that 100% of our faculty and staff are now on multi-factor authentication, effective about 2 weeks ago, which is a huge milestone for us as a district. Essentially what that does is it requires you to give another way to identify yourself other than your password, so that if your password gets out, we know it's you. The second thing is, back in January, the New York State Education Department announced a new branch of their offices called the Information Security Department, and they notified district superintendents that that office would be partnering with school districts across the state to conduct what they call a data privacy and security review. And there were specific controls, high leverage point controls, that they were looking for. There's a random sampling of districts who were asked to provide documentation and then engage with that information security arm of the education department to gain feedback on their processes and the application of the controls that they have in the protection of their information systems. Byram Hills was not selected this year as one of the first round of, it was a random selection, was not selected as one of the first rounds. We volunteered to be part of that, and we're about 2/3 of the way through the process now of going through that with the information security division of that. And I'm very happy and proud to report that there are no significant findings or recommendations for us. As a matter of fact, just last Thursday and Friday, I was up in Albany at a data privacy and security statewide conference, and I had a meal with the head of that department, who were forming a partnership, and he asked Byram Hills, based on the information that we provided, to help review some documentation he's provided and help some other districts kind of establish where we want to go with this. So Byram Hills is, not only have we gotten a good report so far, but we're also helping to regionally raise the bar. There are some other milestones here I'm happy to go in depth on if there are any questions on that as well. There are a few things that we're looking for towards the future. One is, I mentioned the hundreds of information systems that we have and the many, many control groups that we have as well. We've implemented some internal software to help us track this. So we've categorized all of our information systems and what data types each information system has. And what we're working on right now, we have a governance team for cybersecurity now that meets weekly. And what we're doing is identifying what are the appropriate controls for each data system and who is applying them, how are they applied, and how frequently are we reviewing them. This will come to help us when we engage in an audit from the state of New York, as well as, of course, if we were to succumb, fall victim to a cyber attack of some kind. We're also looking in depth at all of those softwares that we have to say which are there any that we are no longer leveraging as we came from COVID and everything became so digital. Now's the time for us to really reflect on the software that we purchased at the time and make sure that it's still having the educational impact that we want it to have. And then we'll minimize not only the expenditure for software that we don't necessarily need anymore, but also the kind of exposure profile that we have for those information systems. I mentioned earlier that we're doing additional phishing training and support, starting with students next year. We'll be rolling that in. And then the partnership that's emerging with the newly formed Information and Security Division of the State Education Department. I also mentioned during our budget presentation for technology that the Lower Hudson Regional Information Center, as you know, we are what's called a MIT district, or a managed IT district, which much of our tech support and strategy come from the Lower Hudson Regional Information Center. They've implemented a new, what they call, vertical team that is a security team, helping us with many of those technical solutions. And as with the other vertical teams that we've been historically leveraging, that vertical team has the opportunity to leverage economies of scale, and we're helping to form out what the scope of that work will be, and we've committed to be an early adopter of that vertical team next year. They're in phase 1 next year, and then of course we'll help them frame out what phase 2 and phase 3 look like in coming years. So with that, I'll stop and take any questions.
Fantastic, first of all.
Thank you.
Great.
For third-party software providers, at one point I think I remember the state was involved with just making sure that from a contractual standpoint they had the same data privacy standards. But is that the way it's still working, or is BOCES the intermediary? Any issues in that regard?
Yeah, great question. So there's a couple layers to that. First, you're referring to Education Law 2D, which is a New York State specific thing, and we are required to have paperwork on file that demonstrates third-party software vendors' compliance with Ed Law 2D. For any parents that are watching, if you type in data privacy onto our website, we do have an inventory of all the tools that we have that meet that need. As of right now, the burden for filing all of that paperwork falls to us as a department still. Part of that regional advocacy that we're doing, and this was a big topic of conversation at the statewide level last week, is working with the state to establish a conglomerate to say, these are the pieces of software that statewide meet that requirement, to take that burden off the localized school districts, because we are replicating the same work. Our local BOCES has done amazing work with that and helped us. Any software that we procure through BOCES, which is a pretty significant percentage of our software, is compliant with that, and BOCES handles that already. But there are other softwares that don't have contracts yet with BOCES, and what we're advocating for as a technology directors group regionally is state-level support for that and a kind of a standardized practice so that there's not such individuality to it.
Got it. Okay, it's good to know.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Kevin?
Thanks, Kevin.
Really
Thanks
good.
for being
Thank you.
on top of this. Super important.
Yeah.
I told you I'm a nerd.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks.
You're in good company. Okay. Let's see. We need to vote on the proposed, WPSBA 24-25 proposed budget and Board of Directors nominating slate and ballot. Can I have a motion to approve? All in favor? Okay. Any staff reports?
Well, just a little. Some student highlights, as if we did not have enough highlights. So I would ask, I'm not going to ask, this is a rhetorical question, just to think to yourselves, did you understand 5% of what the students were saying, and some of them were very articulate. So while I, even for some, could get the flow of what they were working toward, it's a pretty complex world. So congratulations to our students and all the hard work that they have. Also, we have students who were honored for NYSSMA All-State Music Achievement. Morgan Hecht, Aaron Less, honored by both the county executive and New York State Senator for their outstanding participation in NYSSMA All-State Music Ensembles in Rochester. Amazing. This was a lot of fun. Growth and awareness group for Alzheimer's called GAGA. They were in the news on Saturday, May 4th. This group held an inaugural GAGA tournament at Wampus Elementary School. Don't you love that picture of our referees? The event included a day of GAGA ball, outdoor games, food crafts, painting, fundraising, proceeds, all for Alzheimer's Association. And they, if Tim, you could click that for me, they were on News 12. It's, yeah, linked. Woohoo. Get ready.
Is that Ralph's new fan?
And while we're doing this commercial break, we want you to be well.
in Armonk is raising awareness for Alzheimer's. It is the first fundraiser held by the Byram Hills Growth and Awareness Group for Alzheimer's, or GAGA Club. And, well, you guessed it, they played Gaga Ball to raise money for the cause. Students also participated in crafts and face painting.
That's
and
so
all
great.
of the money raised goes to the Alzheimer's Association. And if you would like to donate, we have a link on our website, news12.com.
Ah, hooray. Thank you, Tim.
Is that Ralph's new truck?
Yes, it was Ralph's.
Very nice.
Ralph's new truck. It's an inside thing. Waterpalooza also took place, raising money for clean water at a school in Uganda, and that was on Saturday. Global Scholars Year 2 students, Charlotte Karp, Emily Goldman, Darian Messina hosted the Waterpalooza at Byram Hills High School, raising money to install water filtration in the school in Uganda. And this initiative aimed to provide clean water access to over 1,600 students. They were successful, raising over $200 for the cause. Awesome. Our kids are amazing. And that is all we have for me.
Thank you, Tim. Tim?
Oh, fun.
For this. Yeah, so I want to talk about the Advanced Learner Program and give you an update. We have put a lot of time and resources and focus into the advanced learners, particularly at the elementary schools at Coman Hill and Wampus over the past few years. And particularly this year, we've been spending a lot of time on the advanced learner math program. So I want to just give a bit of an update on what is happening in these programs. There will be an assignment I will give you at the end that you can email me the answers afterwards for our viewing audience as well. It will be a math test. So just to prepare you,
Can't wait.
give you a little bit of suspense. So we do have information on our website as well on Advanced Learner. There is now a website, a web page devoted to our programs. And we do have the belief that all students learn together. And we work hard on differentiating in the classroom and work with our teachers on how best to meet the needs of students in the classroom. However, at the same time, we recognize that there are times that advanced learners can benefit from being with a peer group. So for that reason, we have a variety of types of programs throughout the district, from as early as Coman Hill up through some of our electives and advanced courses at the high school. So I'll highlight a few things at Coman Hill and the humanities. We do have a reading club. So we do pull students out that are recommended by the teacher in first and second grade. And the teacher engages them in reading rich books and tasks. And it's focused on critical thinking and higher level thinking and discussion and seeing ideas from different points of view. In math at Coman Hill as well,
We currently are doing a push-in program where our advanced learner teacher pushes into second grade classrooms and will work with some students in the classroom. And also works with teachers as well on how to differentiate to meet the needs of students in the classroom as well. At Wampus, we've had for quite some time an enrichment program. Two different variations of that. One is during Encore, where most students in grades 3 through 5 have access to enriched topics and a variety of research projects and special projects that students will work on based on their interests. It's also aligned to the curriculum, so the enrichment teacher works with classroom teachers to see what the content is, and then will deepen that experience for students. There's also a pull-out program in the afternoons at Wampus that the teacher pulls some students out and does some additional research projects, often focused around reading and books. And students can also, the teacher will select the books, but then there's opportunities for the students to do some study within the content of those books as well. And then at Wampus, where we've been putting some extra attention on and rebooting our math pull-out program, the advanced learner program at Wampus. There are 4 cycles, so there's 4 opportunities for students to enter that program throughout the year. So it's not a fixed group at the beginning of the year and they stay throughout the year. We wanted to have an opportunity for students to enter it at different times throughout the year based on their readiness. And it's an opportunity for students to apply math in new ways. And you'll see one example from the 4th grade class at the end. Your assignment for tonight will come from that curriculum. So I want to give you some enrollment numbers, which I thought were pretty high. This is looking at 1st grade in the humanities. We have a rotation in smaller groups because those are text-based discussions. So that teacher is working with smaller groups of students. And again, students are recommended and changed throughout the year. In 2nd grade, the push-in program, the teacher is servicing about 30 students, which is about 16% of the 2nd grade classroom. When we get to the pull-out program, the math enrichment program at Wampus, we're talking around 20% at each grade level. So that's 1 in 5 students. These are unique students in that program at any given time throughout the course of the year. So again, there's 4 cycles. Sometimes it'll be new students coming into it, and sometimes it'll be the same students who go through it. And sometimes students will say, I don't want to go to the advanced learner program for this cycle. I want to do something different. Because students themselves at that age often like to explore different types of learning opportunities. So overall, in terms of the math advanced learner program at Wampus, we've been toying with the criteria as we go through it this year because we want to give as many students a chance as possible. Although recognizing that for the pull-out program specifically, we do want students who that can have a peer group to work together. So I'll talk about what we're doing simultaneously in the classroom, but for the pull-out program itself, right now we're using criteria that includes multiple measures because we don't want to base it on just one assessment. We use the New York State Math Assessment score, we use our iReady diagnostic assessment, also in-class assessments given by the teacher, and then we have mathematical dispositions that the teacher looks at and will recommend students based on those dispositions. So it's really a combination of this criteria that determines students coming into the program. We have an expert consultant who is designing the curriculum in the advanced learner program with us. And next year we plan to also do some work on the humanities advanced learner program and bring in a consultant to help us with the curriculum as well. And so things we're working on for our continuous improvement is looking at constantly revising that criteria. We do know that we can improve our communications around the criteria. That is some feedback we've received from parents this year. So we will be publicizing our criteria on the Advanced Learner webpage. And we'll also continue to revise the curriculum based on the feedback and the experience of the teachers this year. And again, as I mentioned, we'll be doing some work around that humanities link, the humanities enrichment piece. So with that, I'm going to give you an assignment. So this is from our 4th grade curriculum, which does align with the curriculum on proportional reasoning in 4th grade. So looking at this painting, which is based on the type of artwork from Frank Stella, we're asking you to look at each color and determine what fraction of the painting does each color represent. So for example, there's several colors. You have your blue. I see Kelly doing his work already. So we'll see if he gets that to me first. There's blue, there's green, we have purple, yellow, and then we have orange is this one here, and red are these two hues here. So we want you to think about that, and I'll ask our community, feel free to send me an email, and I will assess and give you a score on your assignment if you'd like to determine what fraction of the painting for each color. Also, for what we ask our students to do is to explain how they know and to give their reasoning. So part of the Advanced Learner Program is getting students to discuss their strategies, listen to other ways kids do the work, and then make connections between the various approaches. What that does is deepen students' understanding of the concepts of the math, and as well as different procedures and ways to approach the problem. So I see you having a lot of fun with this. So we may have to we might have to extend the board meeting this evening so you have time to do this. So we'll let you play with that. Send me your answers, and
After we turn the camera off, we're going to answer.
you can.
I have a question. So
Yes.
The statistics that we see, like 26%, those statistics, the data that you had, does that translate to later, like, you can't know, right? Who's going to take like AP class or whatever.
Right. I would say not necessarily. It's not meant to be that. So the purpose of the Advanced Learner Program in Coman Hill and Wampus is not to identify those students who would be accelerated in the middle school and high school. It's just to give them in the moment students who have the readiness at that point in time. Is there a correlation between those students who do go on to study higher level math or take advanced courses in the humanities as well? I don't know. Most maybe, but it's not a prerequisite to be in this program in order to get accelerated in 8th grade or at the high school.
I like that you give the choice to the students if they want to attend these accelerated class or do something else. I think that's
Mr. Mack has received phone calls from parents who wanted him to make the student take it. And so he does have conversations around letting students choose at this age group. They're young.
Yeah.
You give them a variety.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Concerns. I have 3 learners who are doing perfectly fine in life, and I don't believe they were advanced, and they did perfectly fine in life. So if your child is not part of that 21%,
Well, if you look at that 21%, you were saying that these are students through multiple criteria, they're top of level 4, right? 95% sort of average or higher. That's a huge, I mean,
some of it's development
Yeah.
at that age. You know,
Yeah.
part reading comprehension comes later sometimes.
that's why I like the curriculum specifically, I'm just going to point out middle school math right now, for example. I know we spent a lot of time working on rich tasks. Every single child in that classroom is getting that same enriched activity to look at a math problem from multiple perspectives. Kelly, did you get it?
He'll send it to me. I'll let you know what his score is. Yeah, Jen, and I want to emphasize that you're going to hear from Lisa Pellegrino at our June's meeting, June 4th meeting, where she will talk about the accelerated pathway. Because what we're trying to encourage, if you remember when about 6 years ago when we made the decision to review and change our math pathways and our acceleration, was we wanted more students to take more math at higher levels. And we are seeing that, and Lisa will talk about that experience. So there could be students who are on level through 9th grade, and then not until 10th grade start taking accelerated classes. And that was the idea, that we wanted there to be pathway opportunities within our school, so it wasn't making a student go to summer school after 9th grade when they should be out doing other things in the summer. We wanted to build that into our program. So just because you might not be here in 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade doesn't mean later you might not be achieving at higher levels and have wide opportunities.
And
So-
also, there's differentiation in the classroom. So it's not like you are not receiving some more challenging instruction.
So for example, we're offering a math institute run by the teacher who's consulting on our advanced learner program for teachers at Wampus to work constantly learning how to differentiate in the classroom so that that is happening as well. So even if you're not in this program, you're still getting a rich curriculum in the classroom from the classroom teacher as well. And that's our goal, is we do believe students can learn in the classroom through differentiated activities and instruction, but also, again, recognizing that sometimes advanced learners should have a chance, to solve these types of problems together and talk to each other about it.
It's fun to watch.
Right.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Kelly, anything else besides the budget? Do you know?
All right, that's it.
Any board reports? No?
The board has a walkthrough tomorrow of Coman Hill, where we are going to be looking at their reading programs and phonemic awareness in classes, which is exciting. I also want to thank Petri and Scott, who were the only members of the audience in my Coman Hill Principals Coffee to hear the budget presentation yet again, but we do appreciate so much that you come out for that support. And we have been working with our elementary principals. We have quite a few parents at the middle school and the high school level who do attend our principals' coffees. Next year, we are going to pilot something at the K-5 level. We will have principals' coffees on Fridays, hoping that more parents in the community will come, and we will work on those agendas to entice them out. Yep.
Great, thank you. Any communications to the board? Can I have a motion to approve the Board of Education minutes from April 30th, 2024?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? And can I have a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor? All right. Reluctant seconds there. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.